New esports programs in public schools promote video gaming as a substitute to actually playing sports. What a fantastic idea. Now high school kids can get their varsity jackets without having to leave their chairs or burn a single calorie. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. This is the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we're talking about a new opportunity through CNN that offers millennials a place to complain about how hard life is. Plus, college students in California are asked to rank the worst and best people in history. Hint, Trump fares worse than Hitler. But we start in Wisconsin and all over the nation, where school districts are offering clubs to play video games so students can be helped in socializing and developing their critical thinking skills, all by interacting with a screen. So, a new phenomenon called esports, and I love the way these things are being described. This is going on all across the country. We're focusing in Wisconsin because that's the educationally dysfunctional state we live in. And the premise here is that there are kids who don't want to actually run and jump, kids who don't want to have to take showers, kids who don't want to actually burn calories. So what we can do is take their pastimes, what they do after school for 8 hours, sit in front of a screen and game, and we'll make it a club. And the argument actually is that we're going to teach kids how to socialize with each other with their eyes riveted on their video games.
Well, and specifically in the story we're talking about for Montello, they said that their tagline at the end of our broadcast is esports. It's not just gaming. It's opportunity. Great opportunity for kids to sit on their behinds even longer during the day after school, spending hours in front of computer screens playing video games that I thought we're supposed to get any violence and all of that out of our school system, but they're all playing these first-person shooter games. I thought that was completely contrary to what we're talking about here in schools.
Now that the schools are getting involved in high school, after-school activities like this and making them for credit, that's the other thing they want to do. They want to start making this stuff for credit. They want kids to be able to major in this in college.
Yep.
Said nobody ever, quote, said nobody ever, the thing that our kids need more of is screen time. What our kids really need is more COPD by sitting on their fat butts all day. And I know whereof I speak, trust me, ladies and gentlemen. What they need is more COPD, cutting off blood flow to the legs and the extremities because you're busy with your joystick all day. And that has all sorts of connotations. But how soon, before, now that they're playing video games, particularly shooter video games in the public schools, how soon do they keep the esports program, but then have to come up with a whole bunch of politically correct games?
And let's look at this clip about how this compares to actual sports.
Mm-hmm. You're pretty much doing the same thing as a sport. You're getting to know new people, you're doing something you love, you're using teamwork, critical thinking.
Yeah, let that be the reminder there, that we're actually doing the same things that you do in a sport, right? So you're sitting there in a completely virtual reality world, and to these geniuses, this is the exact same thing as real life. And it is a very creepy kind of thing. They interviewed one of the people from the program, a senior named Tabitha Fiedler, who clearly has to be the only woman involved in this, female involved, which is why she gets the airtime here, talking about how she is mentoring middle school kids in gaming. How soon before the elementary and middle school kids are spending their time doing this? And I ask you again, what kind of an opportunity does this provide for the radical left-wing social justice warriors who create the curriculum and peddle the books and decide what is acceptable and not in schools to completely hijack these game programs to put forward their leftist propaganda? That's coming, guys, real quick. Now that this is mainstream, right? You watch how shooter games and war games and all the kind of things that moms gripe about that are now being used in these schools because it's all there is. Watch how soon we get the woke video games for these kids.
Well, and just so everyone knows across the nation, just a year ago in Wisconsin, there were about 9 teams that came in. Now there are more than 30 teams, and there are another 80 who are interested in getting involved. And across the whole nation, EdTech Magazine said just in the past year, the number of these esports clubs has jumped from 200 to more than 1,200. So our kids, instead of after school going, to the locker room, getting changed and going to, cross-country practice or football practice, basketball practice, whatever it may be, getting physical activity, fresh air, actually interacting one-on-one with their teammates, they're sitting at a computer behind a screen, maybe talking again. They say they're talking to other people, but they're not actually doing physical activity to change their mental status.
What this is, I think, in the schools is the recognition that we really don't want to teach kids hard subjects that challenge them. We really don't want to force them out of their comfort zones. I mean, now literally, education used to be about that, moving kids forward, having standards that kids had to meet, holding kids back if they can't do it until they can do it. That's how education works. But now, of course, holding kids back is verboten. Everybody is socially promoted. Standards are artificially low so that everybody can meet them. And now we've got this, right, where at this point, why even leave your house?
They're going to say, well, no, because if you bring it into the school, then the taxpayers pay for it. Because
right.
That's something we haven't addressed yet.
Not everyone can afford the same quality gaming.
Exactly, because in Illinois schools use these $1,800 computers, which they claim, of course, they've already had these.
Oh, yes.
But there are more than 35 kids as of now that are in their district using this gaming. So take that math, that's about $63,000. Add on, they have these access points, the internet costs, the lighting costs, all of that, plus the game license they need to buy at $20 a piece. They've purchased more than 150 game licenses. That's another $3,000. And don't forget, these kids have jerseys because they have to wear jerseys.
That's right. And so there's the support. And I wasn't kidding about varsity jacket. You get your varsity letter in gaming now, right? And it's one of those things that you can't get cut at.
Yep.
Right? You can't sit the bench on, right?
Because they're already sitting.
Exactly.
Everyone's sitting.
And so what you're seeing here is the complete transformation of public schools into your mom's living room, right? We talked endlessly on this show about how, in terms of your kids' morality, that's now the teacher's job, not yours. In terms of your kids' politics, that's now the teacher's job. Your kids' psychosocial emotional wellness, that is not the family's responsibility anymore, it's the school's. So why not now then just transform the average classroom into mom's living room and completely cut mom out altogether?
It seems like they're doing it anyway.
Yep.
Well, and mom should be the one who, is assigning our kids to do their chores, and we found that kids who actually do chores are more successful adults. So this is not anything really new, but it's important for us to think about as we're getting into, I guess, having our kids do esports now. And especially now, taking a look at this Harvard study that I just wanted to bring to light to people that's been being done since 1938. There's this Harvard study on human development, and it's called the Grant Study, where they actually studied the choices and experiences, and it began with 400 men at the time, one being John F. Kennedy. And they're all Harvard students, and now they have 724 high achievers they looked at. And they found that being successful in life, professional success, there's a correlation to having done chores as a kid. And Julie Lythcott-Hames, who's the author of How to Raise an Adult, actually did a TED Talk, and she said, the earlier you started, the better. A roll up your sleeves and pitch in mindset, a mindset that says there's some unpleasant work, someone's got to do it, it might as well be me. That's actually what gets you ahead in the workplace.
But isn't that school?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that what school used to be? Forget chores. Go to school and struggle with math. Math is hard. Struggle to read at a higher level. Why are we focusing on chores? You could take this exact same study and you could say, go back to the schools and say what applies to the kids when they have to do chores. We have to throw out the garbage, or they have to rake the leaves or shovel the snow, things they don't want to do, but things that make them better for having done them. How is that not true of their studies? It's as if we're recognizing now, since 1938.
Well, that's just one part of the whole study.
I know, but putting kids to work actually helps them develop. Seriously? While we're creating a school system that is actually running away from that concept. Oy vey.
The big thing to think about, because I see this every day when I have the teenagers that I supervise at my other job, and I tell them on day one at orientation, all you need to do to be successful when you come in here is to have a can-do attitude. You may not know how to do something, that's why you ask questions, but say, hey, I can do it, I will try. That's all you have to do to be successful. And this study, and just in general, common sense tells you this. But we see it so often out in the school system, and then afterward, how kids, adults, children cannot do it.
How very Tony Robbins of you. Can I attend your next seminar at the Ramada at the airport?
Why not?
Yeah,
charge it for it.
And I'm mocking you because you're exactly right. But what you're talking about is old-fashioned motivation. It's like, get off your butt and do something, right? Struggle and strive and do things. Establish these things at a young age, and you'll be successful, right?
Okay, well, you say that, and, you can go ahead and do it back in my day. But we're in 2019 where the kids don't know it, so we have to keep reiterating it.
It's the absurdity of this. I mean...
it is absurd.
It's absurd. I go back to what I said before. Our entire school system now is predicated on exactly the opposite. Don't tax kids, don't push kids, don't ask kids to reach higher levels, don't punish kids if they don't hold them back. Let's coddle them, let's have crying rooms, let's have video game rooms, let's do all this kind of stuff. And then when we see obvious stuff like this being reported as if it is somehow revolutionary, it just shows you how far behind the curve we are and what kind of massive effort it's going to take to actually drag this generation of kids into adulthood.
And what we're saying is that's what we need to do. Have that can-do attitude, because if we don't do it, it's the millennial generation, my generation, who's going to complain about everything. And CNN is actually giving space now to millennials so that they can complain about their hard lives. They are all about these poor millennials. They actually did the CNN politics page of all the groupings of pages of CNN, tweeted out last week, "Are you a millennial who feels like it's harder to get ahead than it was for your parents? The data shows you're not alone. Tell us your story at millennialstories@cnn.com." My main question for this entire thing, because they tweeted this out, is can these millennials tell their story in 240 characters or less? Because that's all.
Tweet it, right.
Yeah, that's all you can tweet out.
This goes back to my major point. It is not harder to succeed today than it was for your parents. It's easier. You have more technology doing everything for you. You have, my generation actually had to walk to a library if we wanted to look something up, right? I typed my master's thesis on a regular typewriter.
Well, you didn't have to write it on slate or anything.
I had a word processor. Nobody even knows what that is anymore.
Yep.
Look, it's easier if you want to succeed, it's easier than it has ever been. The problem is, which the previous two stories have showed us, we're not preparing kids to succeed. We are enabling them, like CNN is, to whine. Don't get off your butt and do something. Don't struggle to reach a higher plateau in school. If you don't meet some standard, it's the standard's fault. It's not yours. You don't have to do schoolwork in school. You can play video games here, in this situation, right? Don't change your life. Come to CNN and whine about it. Come to us and tell us how hard you have it. Staggering.
I do like, there were some good responses I pulled out who were saying pretty much what you're saying. One person wrote, "People these days stand in line for days for the newest iPhone. People used to stand in lines just for a chance for a job."
Just for bread in the 1930s. For God's
soon
soup
enough,
and bread.
if Bernie Sanders
That's
is president. Right. One other person said, "Looks like CNN is manufacturing another victim class to set up a new and exciting grievance industry." Yeah. Also true.
And you know what CNN's doing, right? They're trying to get the whiny, stupid, undereducated, lazy youth of America to commiserate on their website so they can turn those into votes for the latest idiot Warren or Sanders ticket, who's going to even further infantilize them.
We'll see. Speaking of those who are not the brightest of the bunch, we have a new PragerU video that came out. And I always love PragerU because Will Witt's a pretty funny guy. He's a millennial himself, but he has a brain. And he decided to go to California State University, Northridge, and he asked students to rank figures throughout history from worst to best. So he had a variety of different pictures, and at any one time he mixed the pictures up and he gave them 5 to rank. They included, of course, President Trump, Hitler, Stalin, Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton was in there, Jesus, Mark Zuckerberg, Lincoln, and Reagan. And so he would get 5 of them, and he had these kids, the college students, rank them from best to worst. And take a look at this first clip.
Best over there.
Worst, right there.
Worst.
This is Jesus.
What's Obama, black president? I guess.
And that's Hitler.
Which one's Hitler? This Hitler?
Uh-huh.
Who's this?
That's Stalin. You know who Stalin is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, fair enough. Would you like to explain any of your choices?
Barack Obama, that's black president, black power,
What was your favorite thing about Obama?
being black. And being president, that's a big, accomplishment.
Think Trump is worse than Hitler?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could be.
definitely.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
He's childish.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
He's trying to stop, food stamps. People need those.
Do you think that ending food stamps is as bad as killing 6 million Jews?
He did that?
Yeah.
When the interviewer here says, "You do know that Hitler killed 6 million people," giggle, giggle, giggle. He did that? We still need our food stamps, right? Trump's worse. This is the kind of argument that you get from these kids.
This is true. One kid actually ranked Mark Zuckerberg ahead of Jesus just because Mark is powerful.
Hey, there you go.
Okay, there you go. That's interesting. And why do you think Mark Zuckerberg is above Jesus.
As Zuckerberg's just like, he's powerful. I don't want to say he's more powerful than Jesus Christ, but he's just powerful as a man he is already.
Yeah, the idea that you can raise people from the dead is not nearly as good as providing a platform for selfie pics across the internet. I get it. Maybe we had the first church of Zuck.
Well, that's all we have for this Wednesday. Don't forget to share this episode and subscribe to the free audio podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and everywhere else. Visit drdukeshow.com, subscribe for free, and then leave us a 5-star review so we can continue to grow the show.
And that does it for us today. I do want to take a moment and thank all of our new Patriot Club members. Your $25 a month tax-deductible gift keeps this program going. And for you, I broke out the sweater vest. And I think what we may do down the road, if we can get a few more Patriot votes, we can get another 100 Patriot people out there, I'm going to start raffling off to all our Patriot Club members my sweater vests. Actually worn on the air. What kind of a keepsake for posterity will this be for your children? Know, Mom and Dad, that when you die, you'll pass this on. The Patriot Club. If you like the show, please consider supporting it by signing up for the Patriot Club. Visit drdukeshow.com to get all started. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for Freedom Project. I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. And until next time, stay educated, my friends.